Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's web seminar, Using the Right Technology to Grow Your Small or Medium Business in the COVID Recovery. My name is Mike Perkowski. I'm the Custom Content Director for TechTarget, and I'm glad that you could join us today. I'm also pleased to be joined by Alicia Eve, Product Marketing Director at Citrix. Between the two of us, we hope to cover a lot of ground on this topic today and hopefully give you some interesting ideas on how, when, and where to deploy the right technology for small businesses to help emerge from the impact of the COVID pandemic. Just a little bit about myself and my background. I've been covering the IT industry as a journalist and content creator since, 1979. That's a real long time. Fortunately, I could say that most of the things that happened in the previous 35 years are no longer relevant. But it does give, hopefully, an interesting historical perspective. I've also been a publisher and marketing executive in IT, and I'm fortunate to have been able to create a wide range of content for different IT technologies and services and trends across all key media formats, print, online, events, and research. So let's talk big picture first about SMBs, small and medium business, and I really have always felt that the SMB part of our economy is really an economic powerhouse. Mainstream may in fact be a bigger economic driver than Wall Street, especially when we're thinking about the impact that businesses in general have suffered through related to COVID during the past 6 to 9 months. You look at data from a wide variety of different sources, the Small Business Administration, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, OECD internationally. Some statistics really do jump out at you. There's more than 31 million SMB organizations in the United States and represents virtually all of U.S. businesses. They create, on an aggregate, 1.5 million jobs annually, and they account for nearly 2/3 of all new jobs created in the U.S. each year. Depending on which economy you're talking about around the world, they represent anywhere from 40 to 50% of national GDP. And in the US alone, it's an $8 trillion GDP. So the impact is quite substantial. But when we talk about the SMB market, it's a little bit misleading because SMB is really a collection of a wide range of many, many different types and sizes of organizations. And clearly one size does not fit all, and it doesn't even fit most of them. So whether you're talking about a local bakery with maybe 5 employees, or a 50-person architectural firm, or a 500-person manufacturer, they all fit within the broad definition of SMB. But of course, they're very, very different. But one thing that there is really little debate on is that they've all been affected by the pandemic in different ways. And they need different types of tools to help them recover and regain their growth. I don't think anybody is surprised to learn that the impact of COVID on SMBs has been substantial. Fortunately, it has not been universally devastating, but the data from a variety of sources, pretty clear. 43% of U.S. small and medium businesses were closed within 3 months of the pandemic's onset. Of the remaining SMBs that were able to keep their doors open, on average, they reduced their head count by 40%. 3/4 of them said they had less than 2 months of cash reserves in the initial several months. Obviously, a lot of things have happened at the state and local levels and at the federal level to try to inject stimulus, particularly into small and medium business. Many of them have been able to use that to regain their footing. Certainly those in industries requiring a physical presence have certainly suffered the most. Restaurants, retailers, B2B companies serving hospitality and transportation, and seemingly anyone with a global supply chain. From an IT perspective, this has had a big impact on many of the small and medium businesses in the way that they create and deliver IT services. Many in-house teams were either downsized or even eliminated, and a lot of SMBs turned even more so than they've had in the past to outsourced IT resources or service providers to help fill the gap. Fortunately, the ones with some well-established bring your own device or work from home policies were actually more likely to survive and even maintain a reasonable economic footing during that time. So why does this all matter? Well, it matters because SMBs are a massive IT consumption segment. Despite their heterogeneity of their different sizes and business models, collectively, they buy very, very large quantities of IT equipment and services. For instance, annual SMB IT expenditures over the last 4 years have grown by nearly double digits per year, anywhere from $500 billion to almost $750 billion during that time. The reality of all that purchasing is it's driven by the fact that technology is a powerful lever for SMBs. Investment in technology makes a huge difference for the way SMBs conduct their business and the success that they're likely to achieve. Deloitte recently published a study called The Performance of SMBs in a Digital World, and they discovered a couple of very, very powerful statistics that SMBs with an advanced use of digital tools compared to their counterparts that are less likely to use those tools are 3 times more likely to experience customer growth, 5 times more likely to reach new international customers. They're likely to be twice as profitable, twice as likely to create jobs, and 3 times more likely to develop new products and services. Now, during COVID, a couple of interesting things have happened. Obviously, those that have continued to stay in business need to continue to consume IT products and services to keep their doors open, to serve their customers, to try to expand their businesses. But there's been some interesting trends here in terms of where their interest now lies. TechTarget conducts thousands and thousands of interviews each month on purchase intent data. And what the TechTarget research has shown that over the past 6-month period, there's been some very, very important and substantial increases in interest in a variety of different IT technology and solutions areas among small and medium businesses during that time. For instance, purchase interest in collaboration tools increased 145% during that time. Unified communications, business continuity, workforce management, workspaces, and secure remote access increased by more than double, all of them, all during that time. That's an obvious reflection on the reality of how organizations in the SMB space are trying to do business and trying to succeed during a really difficult time. And these are the kinds of investments that organizations are going to need to continue to make as the impact of the pandemic hopefully wanes over time and we get back to something a little bit closer to what we considered normal during that time. So as we think about how small and medium businesses are going to recover during the worst of the transition and into hopefully something closer to normal, I like to think of a golf paradigm here for that recovery. And I think about golf as an avid golfer and not a very good golfer, like I think most people are, right? It's always a constant struggle between the excitement of playing and the frustration of not necessarily doing as well as you'd like. And when I play golf, I think about, sort of the challenges that a lot of SMBs are having to address and confront going forward. There's a lot of opportunities. There's a lot of obstacles. And fortunately, there's a lot of options to help people overcome those obstacles and really make the most of their opportunities. So when we think about opportunities, some of the things that come to my mind about what SMBs are looking at as we go over the next several months and into the next year, the reality is in many industries and in many market segments and geographies, it's a less crowded, competitive field. The pandemic has forced small and medium businesses to instill more operational discipline. First, it was for survival, but that operational discipline actually is going to come in really handy as the business starts to open up more and new opportunities are created. Certainly, organizations have put a bit greater emphasis on existing customers and on generating repeat business from those customers, since those are, of course, the most profitable kinds of sales. And the reality is we've seen that while spending in many, many areas has obviously tamped down quite a bit, We also know that there's a significant pent-up demand for a lot of goods and services in both the B2B space and the B2C space. So the customers of small and medium businesses are there, and they are going to eventually start purchasing again. And the key is for small and medium businesses to be ready. Of course, being ready means understanding the challenges, the obstacles that are still there to be overcome. Those challenges and obstacles include everything like the obvious issues around customer acquisition, retention, and growth. The supply chain interruptions, whether globally or locally, have been operational nightmares for many organizations and are not fully solved yet. We even have to think about things more now like employee health and well-being. There's even more compliance issues to deal with, everything from workplace safety like OSHA and a lot of privacy protection requirements as well that have become more pronounced. Cybersecurity is also a big obstacle that organizations need to overcome because there's been more ransomware, there's been more spoofing and phishing. These are legitimate obstacles. These are all surmountable, but we have to acknowledge them because that's the only way we can actually address them. And if you're going to overcome those obstacles to those opportunities, you need to evaluate your options. You need to have a lot of choices, and you need to have a lot of tools in your bag to be able to figure out how you're going to leverage the opportunities and overcome those obstacles. Look, hard work, determination, creativity, these are all essential. Right? These are essential in any time, not just during and in the aftermath of a pandemic, but they're clearly not enough. Technology applied properly can and does make a huge difference, but that is only if you know where and when to put it to use. So the SMB technology toolbox for this era of the COVID recovery process has to address a wide variety of technology functions and solutions areas that are going to be part of the new reality in how small and medium businesses work going forward. Remote work is not a trend, it is a reality. As a matter of fact, I think remote work is probably a misnomer. It's just work, and it just happens to be done more and more from places other than a headquarters facility. That means collaboration, increased collaboration, and easier collaboration is essential. Secure access to data, to files, to applications, to services, puts new pressure on organizations. More and more workflows are going to be digitized now than ever before, simply because the analog workflows and business processes of the past don't work when people are working remotely, that are working from disparate locations. And ultimately, it is all about resilience. It's about making sure that systems are up, that data are available, that access is there at all times, 24/7, 365. And as important as tools are, it's important to keep in mind the role of the trusted advisor. As important it is to have those right tools, even organizations or people like Tiger Woods, those with the greatest success in their field, often need the advice and support of that trusted advisor. The role of the advisor is critical, so it's important to keep in mind, if you're an SMB, what you're looking for when you select a trusted advisor, either as a product supplier or as an overall solutions provider. You need people who have access to a broad and deep solutions portfolio, who have an established track record of success, especially in serving the SMB audience, that have real R&D leadership, that invest in their technologies, not only for today, but for the future, that have the financial staying power to ensure they can continue to invest and give you the kind of global service and support that is increasingly required for small and medium businesses that have expanded their geographic footprint over the years. Of course, you want to work with technology vendors who have extensive, well-trained, and certified partners in their ecosystem because, as we know, most small and medium businesses actually rely heavily on outsourced IT solutions providers. And of course, in this environment, you want to make sure that you're working with both solutions providers and technology vendors that have extensive remote work process expertise. So, what does this mean? If you're an SMB, what should you be doing next? Well, whether you're the CEO of a very small business the CFO of a mid-sized company, or an IT professional, you need to know what to do, how to do it, and who to partner with. So to learn some of the answers to these questions, let me hand it over to Alicia Eve at Citrix to fill in some of the blanks.
Thank you so much, Mike. Really excited to be here to detail, what these next steps should look like for the SMBs. Regardless of the size of your organization or business, what specific industry that you happen to work with, and even what your day in and day out life looks like for running your business, at the end of the day, everything comes down to providing a positive employee experience for your employees. And this requires removing friction that gets in their way from being productive and engaged with your organization. And as Mike was detailing, there are a number of different technologies that can and should be leveraged as we move forward, over the next 18 to 24 months to manage through the ambiguity and to really set yourself as well as your employees up to support an adaptable, flexible work modality that will allow you to scale and adapt as change continues to occur. And really thinking about this and how a workspace solution like Citrix Workspace can aid in this, there are really three key areas to focus in on. The first is collaboration. The second is secure access. And the final category is around digitizing workflows. And first, as Mike alluded to, collaboration is such a key element of moving forward and setting businesses up for success in the future. And when thinking about collaboration, it's really important to focus on providing and deploying solutions in your business that don't sacrifice speed or quality, and ultimately don't get in the way of your employees. And as more businesses start to embrace and need to embrace this flexible work style of being able to work from anywhere on any device at any time securely, more and more employees are going to need access, easy access, and anywhere access to files that they need to in order to be productive in their work. And really, this comes down to three key areas. The first is providing a unified place for all of a business's content and information that employees need to do their job. Regardless of the size of a business, a lot of organizations and businesses have different places that they keep information, from on local desktops to potentially some technology and file sync and share types of applications to email. And Citrix Workspace can bring all of this together and provide a single pane of glass to all of your content, regardless of where it lives, in a secure way. But not only do employees need access to their files and information, they also need the ability to collaborate on and share those documents both internally and externally in a secure manner. So being able to enable external sharing in a secure way and in a very easy to use consumer-like experience that is intuitive to navigate through, but also provides the layer of security that the businesses need to protect their IP, which is the lifeblood of their company. And being able to work on files and share files from any location is such a critical part of this. So again, bringing them all together into one place, but then being able to share them regardless of whether they're on a desktop, in a virtualized environment, potentially giving that flexibility so that employees don't have to focus on trying to worry about the size limit of their email or getting bounce backs, which just gets in the way of them doing their work. They can send information easily and securely from any device at any time. And this goes hand in hand with security. So being able to provide security around your business's files and data and content without sacrificing that productivity. So the first part of that is being able to customize and create rule-based access to information. So that way employees that need certain information get it securely, and that you as the administrator or the owner of the organization and of the information, you can decide ahead of time who gets what and how it can be shared. And this really puts the business in control of how information is leaving the business and how it's being shared with others. Second is having data loss prevention policies that are directly integrated into Citrix Workspace. So again, putting the business in a position of proactively protecting information and being able to retrieve information as necessary without having to scramble after some kind of data loss has occurred. And then finally, compliance. So many small and medium businesses operate in industries that have rigorous compliance standards. So having the ability to audit, control information, as well as oversight tools for both compliance as well as risk officers. Having all of these features baked right in. So if there's any questions, if there's any requirements in that specific industry or market, it's already addressed, built in, and right at the fingertips of small and medium business owners and their employees. So digging in a little bit more on security and control and secure access. As I started to talk through in the previous slides, we strongly believe at Citrix that it has to become a conversation of experience and security working together versus one or the other. The best security capabilities are those that are contextual, that are learning, and that are seamlessly built into the overall end user experience. And these two working together build an intuitive security that is easy to navigate for an end user and doesn't impede productivity, but also make sure that information is protected for the business and organization. And it all starts with a contextual access to all applications as well as data and information. So, first, being able to access resources if they happen to be on premises or in a web environment without having to require a VPN. Being able to get that single sign-on to all applications, whether they're SaaS, web, mobile, even virtualized applications, so that as an end user standpoint, I don't have to sit and remember all these different username and passwords, which, of course, open me and my organization up to somebody potentially, guessing one of those and leaving some kind of information from the business vulnerable. But from an end user standpoint, it's a great experience because I'm not having to constantly put in all of these different usernames and passwords. With contextual access and multi-factor authentication, it allows the organization to have confidence that the individual that's accessing the information and logging in has been verified through an authentication factor. And from an end user standpoint, I know that I just have to log in once, I verify who I am, and then, again, a really great experience overall. And from a Citrix Workspace standpoint, we really take a zero trust approach that not only provides a great marrying, if you will, of experience and security and benefits on both sides of that, but also provides continuous monitoring and verification along the way, putting the business in a proactive position from a security standpoint, but again, not inhibiting that productivity from an end user. And one of my favorite features of Citrix Workspace when it comes to security is the fact that as an end user, I am protected as soon as I double click and log into my Citrix Workspace. Running in the background is anti-keylogger and anti-screen capture functionality, which from an end user standpoint, I don't have to do anything in order to make that work. It's running on top of what I'm doing and how I would normally log in, but yet it's still protecting me. And this is really that intuitive security that organizations and businesses need of every size as we move to this more flexible way of working. And finally, moving into digitizing workflows. I think that a lot of businesses were surprised to find out when many of us moved to working remotely primarily, of how much of their business required in-person interaction and processes. And digitizing workflows is such a great way for small, medium businesses to provide that level of flexibility in their work processes that positions them well for both the ambiguity of the future, but then also the growth that does tend to occur, after a disruption like we're experiencing now. And there's really three parts to this. The first is, and we talked about this in a few slides ago, it's really about bringing everything together. So simplifying that collaboration by uniting all of those disparate content and data locations and information into one place. But then the second part is even taking processes that traditionally have been, that require legally binding signatures, and leveraging e-signature capability to even put those into a process where it doesn't require in-person interaction. And this ultimately leads to much faster processes, even when it comes to ones that require a legal signature. And then finally, being able to gather feedback in one place. We use this feature, quite a bit because it's such a universal use case. I'm sure that we all have been in situations where we're collaborating on a document, we're sending it back and forth in email. No one really knows who has the latest document, right? And we're making edits on top of edits, but we're having to rectify those edits on a newer version. And one of the really great aspects of Citrix Workspace is you can collaborate on one document with others in one place, so that all of the feedback is gathered. You can track revisions easily, and this really does eliminate confusion or redundancy of working together on documents. And again, you don't have to be in the same place in order to do this. This can be done all virtually in a much faster way than trying to collaborate via email, as an example. And it really does, moving forward with digitizing workflows, it really does help break down bottlenecks by putting all the information in one place, allowing people to collaborate in one secure environment, and even integrate and send documents, finalized documents off for e-signature.
Alicia, that was great. Thank you so much for sharing these ideas with our audience. I know that small and medium businesses are always looking for ideas on the right way to use technology for maximum benefit. Ladies and gentlemen, that does conclude our program for today. Again, I want to acknowledge and thank Citrix for sponsoring this program. We really appreciate it. And thank my colleague Alicia Eve for her part in the presentation. We hope that you will join us for a future web seminar brought to you by TechTarget and its many partners. Thank you all. We hope you have a great and safe day.